Hello, this is Maya Sarik, the creator of Sales Inventory Profile, which we often call SIP. I bet you have been wondering how to recruit salespeople using SIP and find yourself folk who can actually sell. Today, we're going to go to our website, www.salesinventoryprofile.com. Now, on the top right-hand corner of that homepage are the two empty boxes for logging in. So if you log in with the username and password being BlueBay1 and press login, let me explain the process of recruiting with us. So what you're paying for is the use of our software. What our software does is generate visions of the sales person or the candidate in relation to their selling abilities. So we help you on parts of that journey. And the first part of that journey is the advertisement itself. So we write your advertisement for you. We write really long, elaborate advertisements that run for many type pages because what we're trying to do is attract people to a career, especially if it's real estate, because that's really a dedication and a life plan for yourself. It takes several years to become good at it. It's not just a job. And we don't want to attract people who just happen to be unemployed, of which there are plenty and they will respond. What we're trying to do is attract a larger pool, in addition to that, who are serious about starting up a career for themselves and might consider your job and specifically a job in selling. So at the bottom of that advert are instructions to come to our website, fill in their names and mobile phones and contact details as per usual on an application form, and then they're directed to do the actual SIP assessment. Now, where we have just logged in is your account. Actually, this is a pretend account with some pretend people in it. But conceptually, these people are applying to your jobs, and you only see them, they're only visible to you after they have finished their SIP. So, if you go to Candidate Management, and as we speak, I will do the same thing. So if you press the word Candidate Management, you will then see a whole bunch of boxes, each labelled with a PRK. And each PRK is a different vacancy or a different attempt at filling a vacancy. So if you just scroll down a bit, you will see the third one, which says Seek Org 09 New Sales Staff 40. Now that means we ran a pretend advert. We didn't really run an advert in August last year, and we were recruiting for a new sales staff, and we got 40 people who finished a SIP application. Now there might have been more that started, and we never encourage those people to continue if they stop, because getting through that really boring, tedious 361 questions is in itself an indicator of how serious and interested in this job they are. So of those 40 people, they are not littering your inbox. They're not spread around and getting lost. And which one was the one with the thing? And which one lived here? And who have I replied to? And oh, bugger, I've deleted one. What happened to that one? They're all here in a nice, neat, tidy row. You can't delete them. You certainly can't lose them. And they appear in order of their SIP score. So they're not alphabetical, even though Adam does start with an A, and that's the beginning of the alphabet. So we suggest, if it's a new business role, that you interview and consider seriously people over the 77% score range. Now, of those 40, if you look down that list and get as far as the lady called Linda Corbett, she's actually just 0.25% below 77, but that's pretty close. So there are 6 people out of that 40 only who are potential contenders for a new business role. That's not many people to deal with. If you look at the to the right of each person's name is a blue strip. So in that strip you can look at their score, their report in detail, their details, which are the things they filled out during the registration form, their name and mobile phone and that sort of stuff, so you can easily contact them and look at those things. Then there's the word resume. Now the word resume could either be red or white, and if it's red it means the resume was uploaded, and next to that is a cover letter. Now, we don't suggest you ever read the resume as a way of choosing them. You know, the fact that they worked at KFC instead of McDonald's, do we care? Is it important? The fact that they've got a degree or not, the fact that they've worked in some international highbrow finance position, is that relevant or not? We don't really consider any of those things relevant to selling unless they've sold for your immediate competition, which is really rare. So unless that they talk about working for the blokes down the road, we don't really care what's in the resume in advance of the interview. We do care for the interview because that's part of what you're going to talk to them about content, and it's a starter for a conversation. And then the very last bit on that blue strip for each person is the word notes. Now, the second way we help you with your recruitment process, secondly, is the fact that we write a summary of the people in your preferred score range. So those 6 at the top. So you don't have to remember whether or not, well, I said, the XP had to be green or yellow or blue, and this had to be below, and this had to be above, and these two things shouldn't occur together, etc. When you looked at 20 of the SIPs, you'll remember all of that, and it'll all be really, really obvious. But in the meantime, especially the very first time you recruit with us, we write you a summary. So you'll see in the blue strip next to some of those people is the word notes. So if you click on that, you will see, first of all, any communications that have been sent from the website to this person. So you won't forget whether or not you've communicated with them. You won't forget who's got which email and when did that go out. You haven't been able to delete those either. And then you will see, if you go down the page, you will see comments from John. Now, it's usually John who writes the candidate reviews, and he will summarize 3 things. He will summarize this person's SIP report and remind you if this is too high and that's too low, and what that basically says about their fit into a sales job, into your sales job. So not the generic fit, which you can read about in the report, but specific to your job. What would this mean to your job? Then he will summarize their resume or CV. So he will look for things that might be relevant and point them out. And then he will suggest some topics of conversation for the interview. Now, candidates are really well rehearsed for interviews. If they're serious about getting a job, they've probably been to a couple, they've talked about it with friends, they might have got some advice from a recruitment consultant. They've thought about what they might get asked and what they need to say about that. Most business managers and owners don't get that luxury. They're busy racing around doing their real jobs, and they do have clarity on what they want, but they haven't practiced how they're going to ask those questions to get a respectable answer back out of a candidate, because people are nervous, and so are you. So we help you prepare for the interview. We give you some questions to start you off with. We'll send you lots of documents to help you learn how to interview better, what sort of things to look out for, what sort of things to think about. And the point of the interview, so we have put before you, in this case, 6 potential candidates that we know that they have the raw capacity to sell. Now, in the interview, it's your job to assess their life fit. So it's up to you in the interview to work those things out and get a conversation going about what they hope for themselves and a clarity about what your job actually includes. Because if they haven't sold before, they won't necessarily understand what they're buying into. So you establish clarity on the job and their life fit. What SIP has told you with confidence is that they have it in them to learn how to sell, if they haven't already been selling. Now, the third thing that SIP allows you to do, and that it's good at, is communicating with the candidates. So if you go back to that list of people, to the left of all the people is an empty box. Now, if you tick at the top of the empty boxes, the very first of the empty boxes on top, everybody will get ticked. And you could have just ticked a few, and you can now untick some. But everybody who has a tick will be communicated with simultaneously. So if you select bulk actions. So these are actions that will be applied to all those people who have a tick. Now, if you just press the drop down button, you'll see that the bulk actions that are available to you. Now, the one that we always recommend that you use is to tick people, in this case, below 77, and send them the sorry email. It is professional courtesy. So all of those emails can be overtyped, and you can write whatever you like. If you don't like what's already there, they all default to your business name in the subject heading. And they're all written in a very simple, formal business style. So it's, at least, in the very least, it gets that job done in a simple, professional manner. Now, the second bulk email that I'm really fond of is the one that says send interview request. So that's to the 7 who did make it into your score range, to say to them that they've made the shortlist. It will give them a mobile phone number or a business phone number for them to ring into and book themselves in for an interview. So if we ran an ad on a Friday night, you spent maybe half an hour proofreading, and by the next Friday you could be meeting a few clicks at our internet site. You could be meeting people and being prepared for an interview with folk who really have some potential, and with you being in a position of clarity where you know what you want to ask them, you know what pitfalls there might be with this particular person, you've got a few ideas that you want to bounce with them, so you've got credibility or substance, maybe that's a better word, for the interview to get maximal effect from that as well. And the final part of recruiting anybody is the reference checking and the job offer process, and that is entirely yours as well. Now, you pay for this service, so we have no prejudices or biases or contact even with the candidate. We will never ring you up and say, we've got a good one, because these people are your own, and however long it takes for you to fill that vacancy, the software is available to you. So we won't try and talk you into one of those candidates to make the job fit or close quicker. If you want to spend 6 months and nobody's quite right for you, that's perfectly fine with us. We are here to support your efforts in recruiting with a tool that first can analyse those people, but secondly takes a huge portion of that workload, so that you don't feel like, this is so hard, I just get on with it and choose one because I can't bear the process any longer. So we've made the process really simple and effective. So I hope that you will recruit with us. I hope that we have the opportunity to discuss your business opportunity and write you an advert. Thank you.